Yes, hello, it's Joe here for joyridertv. I'm just taking the cover off the boat just in case the boat comes in handy for answering any questions. I'll be back in a jiffy. Hi Ewan, nice to have you on board, and everybody else who's here with us today. Hello Steve-o. Yeah, and happy Christmas. Hope everybody's had a lovely Christmas and looking forward to what's coming next. Alright, we're on for a bit of scrolling back, so I'm just gonna scroll back, say hello to everyone. Hi Rodrigo. Hi Chug Slayer 69. Slay those chugs. Yeah. If that's, apologies if that is actually your surname and I've just offended you. Hello Martin, and hello Valentine. And just pausing there with the hellos, because Valentine is already in with quite a deep and probing question. Are those rudders available for? No tapping, says Steve. Yes, nailed it with the camera, the microphone. By the way, this is what the microphone looks like. This was paid for by everybody who's supporting the channel on Patreon. This is called Instamic. You probably can't see that. It's very small, looks like that. It records onto itself. You can mount it on your clothes. It's completely waterproof, so you can take it out on the water with you, and it improves the quality of your audio. But thanks to everybody who helped with that purchase. All right, so Valentine asked, is it possible to get Tiger rudders on other F-18s? Now, with interchanging rudders between classes of boat, the problems that you're going to have, let's just, here's a rudder, is the shape of the stock and where the holes are in the blade is really going to make it unlikely that you'd be able to, for example, put Tiger rudders on a different F-18, or perhaps you want to put a set of Nacra Evolution rudders on your Tiger. It's not going to work because the stocks will be all wrong. So you'd have to change the rudder stocks as well. And then the thing that's going to mean it's possible or not is, are the gudgeons, the part of the boat where the rudders mount, is that going to take these new rudders? If the gudgeon does take the new rudders, are the different rudders going to radically affect the feel of the boat? And so, example, if you decide, yes, I'm going for it, all right, let's we've got a set of Nacra rudders we want to put on our Tiger, example, but the stocks don't fit the gudgeons. All right, we'll take the Tiger stocks off, we'll fill in all the holes at the back, and fit some appropriate gudgeons to the back of the boat. When you actually get eventually out onto the water with this new rudder system, it might not feel as good as you're hoping, because all of the rudders have been designed with a specific boat in mind. But if the rudder blades are a similar shape, similar size, then there's a fair chance that it will work. Just following on here, I want to change everything on my Darthawk because those aren't great anymore. Yeah, I should think, because the Darthawk and the Hobie Tiger are from the same era, let's say, both of those boats came out in 95, so that means that the rudder shape is likely to be quite similar, because that shape of rudder or that size of rudder was the trend at the time. So it might work, but it's this rudder stock and gudgeon which will be the contributing factor. It's like, if you don't have to replace the gudgeon, then I would say it's well worth having a look at. But if you could get hold of a set or borrow some that you can offer up to your boat, then I think that would be a good idea. Yeah, interesting question one there. Nice, juicy. Okay, we've got Jose Thomas Romero Aru. Hello. Any tips on how not to get tangled with the main sheet all the time? Oh yes, and the best tip with not, the sun is a bit on and off today, and it hurts my eyes. Yeah, so the number one kind of fundamental tip with main sheet management is just keep it tidy and organized all of the time. So let's jump up here for a minute. Can we do this? Is this all right? So all right, I'm not actually going to get on the boat. I don't actually trust that it is going to stay in a good spot. But what you can do with your, if you're sat on the trampoline, is you can use your feet while you're sat on the trampoline to keep kind of sweeping the main sheet into this area, so that then it's not likely to get tangled up with the ropes that are at the front of the boat. Yeah, just keep the main sheet to the back. Before you rig up the main sheet and the traveller, run your hand along the entirety of the length of the rope, don't need the boat actually, to make sure there's no twists or kinks in the rope, because those twists and kinks are one of the main culprits of getting tangled if you have got those in the rope before you even go sailing. And then just keep an eye on all of the ropes on the boat, keep them organised at all times. If you've got a crew, perhaps you could say to the crew, do you mind just having a quick tidy up of the ropes if they're looking a bit out of control, and then just keep control of the ropes all the time. If you're trapezing and you're getting tangled with the main sheet, then my recommendation there is every time you sheet in, just to flick it, the excess rope back onto the trampoline if you're sailing upwind, for example. But if you're reaching, then this comes back to something we've mentioned before, is could it be possible that your main sheet is too long? If your main sheet is too long, it is definitely going to get tangled, and it's probably going to get sent off the back of the boat if there's any decent wind. So it's like you're trawling for squid or something that you're trawling for. So I have made videos in the past of rope management and is your main sheet the right length. But basically, with the main sheet being the right length, rig your boat up, get somebody to hold the boom or the clew of the sail with the main sheet attached as far out as you would ever possibly put it, and then simulate standing on the trapeze at anywhere will do. I'd say up by the shroud would probably be a good spot, because that's as far forwards as you're going to go, and then is with the traveller all the way out, main sheet all the way out, have you still got a load of main sheet doing nothing? If you have, then that's going to be too long. But what you can also do, if you're using the end of the main sheet as your traveller, you could pull some of that through. Tricky maneuver to get to the back of the boat, but all right, can we actually, let's flip this round. All right, so through here where the traveller ties off, if you actually pull some through, like pull it through, tie a new knot in so you've got a load of tail out of the back of the boat, and then you can experiment, see if that's the right length before you cut it. So then you can make sure that you're not, if you are thinking of cutting your main sheet shorter, do a test in that way before you cut it, because of course cutting it is quite final, but good idea to double check first. Okay, thanks very much for the question. I hope that helped in some way. Just scrolling back, and in fact, before I continue, good morning, Pierre, in Quebec, Canada. Always great to have you on board. All right. One question that I had came in remotely by email was from Kurosh, who was asking, is he's having awful difficulty unhooking the mainsail on his A-class. The A-class has the same system as on a classic Hobie 18, on a Tornado, on a Dart 18, with the top of the sail. All right, I haven't got bits here to demonstrate with. On the top of the sail, the shackle has got a ring, and then at the top of the mast there's a hook. That hook pulls up, the ring pulls up past the hook, and then as you pull the sail down, she slots on. Thus, sorry if this looks a bit dirty to anyone, but this is the top of the sail and mast. And then the idea is, what happens to drop the sail is there'll be a little bit extra at the top. You pull it, and then when it's there, you rotate the mast, allowing the sail to drop down. Seems logical, doesn't it? But this is a source of annoyance and difficulty for, I'd say, probably about 37% of people using this system, or with a boat with this system on there. So there are a few things that we can do to make it a bit easier. Number one is to make sure that everything is in good condition, such as the little roller at the top of the mast that the halyard goes over. We tip the boat over, make sure that runs freely. Also, the little roller at the bottom of the mast, make sure that runs freely, so there's no excess friction coming from there. We want to make sure that the mast track and the luff, the front edge of the sail, is clean, and perhaps if you're sailing salt water and your sail hasn't had a wash for a while, give it a really, really good wash. And what we do at Wildwind is, before we rig the boats up in the morning, we wash the sails, give them a real soaking, and that means that they go up and down the mast so much easier, rather than having the salt grinding and a really stiff bolt rope. Softening it up with some water works really well. And then if we've done all that, what we can do before we go to drop the mainsail is, firstly, these are all important points, I was going to say most importantly, but firstly, we want to make sure the boat is properly pointing into the wind, totally straight into the wind. If the boat isn't into the wind, you're already setting yourself up for a very difficult time. So number one, boat into the wind. Number two, take everything off the bottom of the sail. So you could leave the boom on, but if you can take the main sheet off the boom, that's going to help, because that weight of the main sheet might restrict you from pulling the sail up. So another good reason for fitting a snap shackle to the back of the sail, to the main sheet. Another thing, take the downhaul off. If the bottom of the sail feeds back down the mast, take that out first as well. That is going to give you a bit more to get hold of. And then, and only then, do you want to give the sail the good pull up from the halyard. So you could either do it traditional or tornado technique, and then give the sail a bit of a push up the mast first as well. That's going to help pull the sail up, And then this is the trick. There are 4 options for rotating the mast. So with tension still in the halyard, is everybody still with me? Good. With tension still in the halyard, there are 4 ways that you could turn the mast. You could turn it to starboard. You could either turn it as hard as you can or about half. So those are 2 options, and then the same to port. So if you've turned it as hard as you can to starboard, really pull down on it and the sail still is locked in, put the mast straight, push the sail up the bottom again, and then pull it up, and then try to starboard but half. So tension in the halyard, rotate the mast, release the halyard, pull the sail down. Those are the that's the sequence of events. And the same actually is valid for the boats like the Tiger and the FX1 or the 20 with the little hook that goes into the top of the mast like that. 4 different ways. And then of course those 2 ways we could also do on port, rotating the mast to port as well. So those are our 4 options. One thing that can be add something to the equation is if you've got on the top of your ring, right, here we go. On the top of your ring, if there's a little ring where your halyard goes through and you tie it with a figure of 8 knot, that's how it's attached to the halyard. From different boats to different boats, this will be different with different boats. But if you have the knot towards the mast or away from the mast, it's going to be different. So you need to work out which way works for your boat. So perhaps it is something that's worth testing on land. If it doesn't work, then tip the boat on its side, take the shackle off the top, turn it round so that the knot is now the other way, put the boat back upright, give it another try. There we go. So that was Kurosh who asked that by email. Scrolling back, and hello to everybody, and once again I hope everybody's had a lovely Christmas. And I was actually hoping that Santa was going to put a foiling A-class under the Christmas tree, but I think my letter didn't get to it, or he couldn't fit it in his sack. Quite likely it wouldn't go in the sack, or it certainly wouldn't get down the chimney. All right, so Chugslayer 69 just bought a Hobie 16 and I was a big help. Good to know. That is what I feel that I'm here for, is to help anybody who is feeling a little bit like, if you've just bought a boat and it's a pile of bits, then I like to think that's where I can really step in and help with where does part A go to part B and so on. But thanks for that. It's good to know that the videos are helpful. All right, Felix says, hi, I hope you had a great Christmas. Yes, it was very nice. Any thoughts about NACRA 15 single-handed? I haven't sailed a NACRA 15, but I've looked at the advertising and promotional materials, and I have to say the NACRA 15 looks like an absolute rude boy. I think the only negative thing about the NACRA 15 is it is a little bit expensive, but because there are many different options with how you can sail the NACRA 15. Originally it was designed as a double-handed youth boat as a training boat before people go into the NACRA 17 to do the Olympics, or to try to get into the Olympics. But since then the NACRA 15 has got quite a few different options of how it can be used, and I would say that is going to be a whole lot of fun. So yes and yes. The one, I'm not going to call it a negative point to it, but one where, for example, the good old design Viper has got slightly the upper hand is that the Nacra 15 is available as a foiling boat as well, as is the Viper. The Viper is available as a convertible, but with the Viper you can, if you're interested in racing, you can race in the F16 class, but of course in the Nacra 15 you can't do that. So that is just the one of the benefits of the foiling or convertible Viper over the Nacra 15. But having not, I tell you what, it would be a dream to have two of them, one of each, on the beach and do some testing. So manufacturers, you know what you need to do. Get us some boats down here and we'll do some testing and let the videos decide on what they do. Kind of, does that make any sense? Anyway, continuing. Chris, hello. Nice to have you with us. Hi, Hutchie. Merry Christmas to you too. Hi, Richard. Hello, Holly. That would be Holly, who just applied for a job at Wildwind Sailing Holidays. What a great idea that is to come out here. It's blowing pretty hard today, actually. I don't know if you can hear any wind noise, but it is blowing. So hopefully we'll have Holly on the beach this year. Hello, Armin from Germany. I'm hoping that's Germany. I like to think of myself as a bit of a, I know what flags are what, but Germany and Belgium are two that can get confused, but pretty sure that the horizontal is German. But hello. All right, Valentine says, I want to change everything on the Darthawk. Oh my goodness. Yeah, and why not? Now's a great time to be doing some upgrades. And in fact, I just earlier on today watched a video on YouTube myself from Rich McVie of the Hobie, the International Hobie Cat Class Association, and his video is that's a cat. His video was on the topic of what how did he put it? Improvements or what should you upgrades, that was the word. What should you upgrade on your boat? And it is very interesting. He's got some industry professionals on there talking as consultants as well, and well worth a look. That is on the YouTube channel called Hobie Class, and it's about an hour and 20 minutes long, but well worth a look there. Rich is the president of the International Hobie Racing Association, and he's been in the game for a very long time, so he really knows his stuff. Worth a look. Scrolling back. All right. All right. How do I pronounce that? Gerables. Says, where are you right now? Okay, yeah, I'm in Greece on the island of Lefkada, which is the one just down from Corfu, just up from Kefalonia, in the village of Vasiliki, which is where Wildwind Sailing Holidays is based. You can check it out on the website wildwind.co.uk, and we do a huge amount of cat sailing here, and the conditions in the summer are absolutely epic. No word of an exaggeration there. That's a good question. Raphael, did you change the channel name? No. Now it's an interesting question. I know it's not directly boating related, but once you have set, well, I haven't looked in the last couple of years, but once you've set up your YouTube channel, you'd set it up with a funny name. And back in the day, my brother used to call me Joey Anglaise because we went to Cuba on holiday and it was hilarious. So that's what I called my YouTube channel. But I didn't know that you can't change the name of your YouTube channel once you've changed it, except to your Google username or official name. So that's why the Joyrider TV channel does say my name on it rather than Joyrider TV. But yeah, I think that's a fairly good question. I will look into that again, because it would be nice for everything to say the same thing on it. All right, Chugslayer69, which kind of rubber do you use for grip on the boat? Good question. And this was actually one of the points that Rich brought up in his upgrades video. In some countries, I think in Europe, the boats come with the rubber on, but it seems from his video that the boats in America don't come with rubber on when you buy them. We could, but let's not. But the rubber that we use on our 16s is the rubber that is supplied by Hobie Cat, and they call it neoprene anti-skid in the catalogue. It's reassuringly expensive, but it is good, and it lasts for a very, very long time. It's of quite a hard compound, so it doesn't give very much, which means it does last longer. But you really do need to make sure the shoes you're wearing have got the right grip. So if you had shoes with quite a hard compound sole, they're not going to grip as well as shoes with a soft rubber sole, and that's how you're going to get the grip. But that's the original Hobie rubber from Hobie Cat Europe. Good question. It amazes me every week that there's still new questions. That sailing is a massive topic. I think we could say that. The Outlander 82. Howdy, Joseph. Yeah, nice to have you on board, and welcome. And I hope everybody had a lovely Christmas and is continuing to work their way through too much. Hi. Yes, yes. Email live to internet tora. Temperazi. No, pana. No, all through the garage. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. That was a blend of Greek and English and various other languages thrown in for good measure. Staddy, nice to have you on board. Welcome. Do you also have top cats in your fleet? If not, why do you prefer other brands? Yeah, our whole fleet is pretty much Hobie, and then as well as Hobie, we have got Tornadoes, and we've got, of course, the C2 from Goodall Design. The reason we don't use Top Cats because we've always used Hobie, and we have a very good relationship with Hobie Cat Europe, who we've worked with them for over 30 years now, and the Hobie range really ticks all the boxes of what we need here on the beach. And the thing that's really convenient for us is a lot of the spare parts are interchangeable boat by boat, whereas if we then, it's like something we found with the C2 already, we can't use Hobie parts on that boat. Not that we'd want to, but it means then we'd need to carry a whole second or third collection of spare parts for the other brand of boat. But it's because Hobie have just proven to be so strong that it's a very good it's very good for us, because this is I would say for boats out here, it's got to be one of the toughest flat water environments for catamaran sailing, because we're using the boats every single day. We've got a stony beach, and every day the boat's getting used in strong wind with a lot of UV and very salty water, which I think all of those ingredients are just out to punish the equipment. And Hobie have proven that their equipment lasts and does a good job, whereas we couldn't guarantee that for the other brands. So that's why we've always stuck with Hobie. Scrolling back, but there's another centre here who've got like two Top Cats, and they do look good for the purpose of the kind of slightly lower end like replacing maybe the Hobie 15 or some of the plastic Hobies, the top cats that they have would be the most similar to from what I've seen. Okay, scrolling back. Tad, nice to have you on board once again. I join your live stream at midnight. Now that's dedication. Is anybody watching it any later in the day than midnight? That is good. Nice to have you on board. Hope that it's just what you need. Thank you so much for the tips. Yeah, I specifically have trouble when on the trapeze. Yeah, I think so. This is back to the main sheet length question. A lot of people have got main sheets that are too long. So this tip of pulling the rope through the fair lead at the back, we'll just have one more look at this because I think this could really change things for people. Yeah, here's another boat. So normally you'd have, if your main sheet and traveller line are the same rope. So usually the traveller line would come through here, through the traveller car, ding dong, and then through here, tied with figure of 8 on the back. But if you've got a suspicion, if you're thinking of shortening your main sheet / traveller line, pull some through the amount that you're thinking of cutting off, tie a new figure of 8 knot, so then you'll have a long tail under the boat, and then tuck that away in the tramp lacing or somewhere and test it. Go and see if you're happy with that length. Do make sure that you try that length out on the trapeze with a bit of wind before you cut it, because you're going to need more main sheet when it's windier than when it's not windier, for your nerves and that kind of thing. All right, scrolling back. Moritz, hi, welcome to the live stream. Glad you could make it. I am myself a dinghy sailor, but I'm interested in sailing a cat for fun, not racing. Would you recommend try hiring a cat or buy one for €800? Never sailed a cat before. This to me, €800, and you've got sailing experience. It kind of depends on a little bit of, are you going to be sailing solo more or with somebody else? It's sounding a bit Hobie 16 to me, because at that sort of money you can get, if you have a really good look around and there's a little bit of luck involved, but you can get let's call it a seaworthy Hobie 16 for that sort of money. What else could you get? It is, I would say, seaworthy boats probably start at about 1,200, 1,500 euros. Any less than that, and unless you're getting extremely lucky, you're going to have to spend a bit of money on the boat before you can go out and use it with a bit of confidence that you can get back in. But yeah, the Hobie 16, because the boat's been around for such a long time, over 50 years now, so that means there's more Hobie 16s around than anything else. So that is a boat which is the most available on the planet. But it depends also, if you're going to be sailing solo all of the time, then perhaps you should have a look at a dedicated single-hander. Like if you're reasonably, let's say if you're under 75 kilos and you're going to sail solo all of the time, then the Hobie 14 would certainly tick the boxes for you. Whereas if you're a bit heavier and you want to sail solo all the time, perhaps, I can't remember where you said you were, if you're in Europe or stateside. Just scrolling back. I'm guessing by the name you must be in Europe somewhere. Yeah, so you could go for there's not so many Prindles in Europe, but the Prindles do have more volume than the Hobies, so if you're a bit heavier, it might be a bit more suitable. But also the Dart 18, Dart 16, good options if you just the Dart 16 if you're just cruising. The Dart 18 of course ticks the boxes a bit more if you want to race as well, because they've still got a very good fleet around Europe. What else would you reckon? But yeah, hiring one if there is somebody somewhere reasonably nearby, and you've got the opportunity to hire one, perhaps with a few tips before you go out, or just watch some of these videos that this bloke's been making, then I think a very good idea, if you're really going in without any experience, good idea to try one first, see how you like it. And then if you do see a boat, I've said this to others before, but if you do see a boat that you think that looks like a good one, then by all means email me a link to the advert that you've seen or some information about it, and I'll let you know what I think, whether it's a good price or a good boat for your level of experience. Okay, scrolling back. Cool. It's been a tough week. Quite a lot of cheese, that's for sure. All right. Oh, by the way, while I've got you here, if you, this is completely unrelated, but if you're not up to much, tomorrow evening, that would be, yes, it is New Year's Eve tomorrow. I'm actually doing a live show, like a cabaret performance live online on the Wild Wind Facebook page. If you head over there, you'll see a link to it. Where in the UK, that's from 10 until 12 midnight, doing a show, bringing in the new year, and do check the time conversions wherever else you are in the world. But yeah, I'm doing that tomorrow in case you're at a loose end and you want to see me on telly. I've got a lot of special guests coming in there, so it won't all be me. Okay, moving on. Jose Thomas Romero says, should I install a jib traveller kit on my Hobie 17 for non-competition sailing? I would say, and this is actually getting something from Rich's video on the Hobie class page channel, is are there other things on the boat which are more pressing to upgrade before you put a jib traveller on the boat? Because I think probably as standard on the 17, if you've got a jib on there already, I would assume that you've got a jib cleat in a set position. And a jib traveller having a bit of range in there is going to allow you to set the jib much better for different wind conditions and points of sail than just having the cleat and the anchoring point of the jib sheet in a set place. But are there, if you're looking at upgrading one thing on the boat, are there other areas which could use that sort of cash input more than putting on a jib traveller system? I would say a jib traveller system is gonna make it a lot more satisfactory, the settings you're getting on the jib. So I'd say yes, but do have a look around the rest of the boat and see if there's anything else that needs a bit of attention sooner, like have the rudder blades got any cracking, are there any soft spots on the hulls, sort of boring stuff like that, which you're not actually going to feel the difference until you go out sailing and a rudder blade doesn't snap or something. Then you'll think, yes, that was worthwhile. There we go. Just Gaming GT. Go see. Go see. Go see. I would love to. Does that mean go to sea? It'd be better if I'd just go sailing. But we tried this because we started these live Q&A videos back in, I think it must have been March, when we had the first lockdown. and I did a few before we were locked down here out on the boat, and it's very difficult to read the questions at the same time as sailing the boat. So sitting on a bench is much easier, and it means I can answer more questions with better words. Hello Mark in Clearwater, Florida. Always nice to have Florida on board. Hello Andre in Quebec. First time on board for me. Love your channel. Hobie 16 since 77. Oh yeah, old school. Is it the same one? That would be amazing. Or probably be a tequila sunrise if I didn't know better. But yeah, nice to have you with us, Andre. Thanks for coming. All right, Bradley, you can change it. I don't know what Bradley's referring to there. Chugslayer 69 again. What's the easiest way to put your beach trolley in, front or the back? The front. Almost always put the trolley under from the front, because the rudders at the back of the boat are quite, compared to the hulls, they're extremely delicate, so it's always going to be better to put the trolley under from the front. Easier as well. Once at some point I'll put it on my list, just a very kind of fundamental how to, I think I have actually done it at some point. I can't remember which video it was in. I think it might have been in, yeah, there was a video called beginner sailing lesson, catamaran sailing lesson, something similar to that. And at the start of that lesson I did go through the easiest way to put the trolley under the boat, so it is worth checking that out there. If you can't find it, just leave a comment later once this video's uploaded to say, could you give me the link for that video about the trolley, and I will be able to find that for you. Hi Robin, more Florida on board. I think Florida has got, we did do this last year at the end of year Show Us Your Cat roundup, and it did seem that Florida, I think, was definitely in the top 3 states in the US where most people's boats that we've featured are coming from. Max, any tips on make the hoisting and pulling in the Jenica in the chute easier and smoother? Got the one line system, sure, not standing on the ropes, but beside that, yeah, that's good. Okay, so with the Spinnaker or Jenica or Genica or asymmetric Spinnaker, but let's not get into that right now. I think if you are feeling that it's being tight, getting it up and down into the chute, with a little bit of wind, I know it's not always possible, but with a light wind and your boat on the beach, get your boat on the beach so that the wind is blowing from, it's still here. Okay, we're live. Okay, sorry about that if I did go out for a little bit. It seemed that having a missed call really upsets things on the video. Yeah, so where were we? Max was saying about the Spinnaker. Yeah, so get your boat on the land, wind from behind, and then just try pulling the Spinnaker up and down and see if it's stiff on the land. And if it is, then there's a few things that we could look at to make it a bit easier to go up and down. A first thing is the actual chute itself. If your boat has got a soft chute on it, like one made of mesh or Dacron, make sure that your chute is pulled as tight as possible, because having the chute tight is going to mean there's less creases and ridges in the chute, because all of those creases and ridges are going to give you more friction pulling the Spinnaker in and out. So that's number one. Number two, how does your Spinnaker feel? Is it, when you touch it, is it really salty? Because all that saltiness is going to be more friction and make the Spinnaker a bit stiffer. So if you haven't washed your Spinnaker for a while, give your Spinnaker a wash. All right, also check each of the blocks on the journey that the ropes are taking to pull the Spinnaker up and down, and just taking both ends of the rope, just pull it like that through the block with a bit of tension. Is the block feeling good, or does it grind a bit? If those blocks are grinding, they need replacing. And this is one of the sad realities of being into sailing. Those tiny little blocks are more expensive than you want them to be. And if people are selling second-hand ones, it's because they're not very good anymore. But it is worth spending a bit on those blocks, because if you get the cheaper ones, you're going to end up having to replace them more often. Whereas if you buy yourself some nice Harken ones, they're going to last a lot longer. So it is worth spending the money on those blocks. So on the blocks, there'll be one at the end of the pole, one at the other end of the pole for the one line system. You'll have those double blocks which link the pulling out and up, and then there'll be one at the top of the mast. Check all of them to make sure they're all running nicely. And then what else? Make sure your Spinnaker halyard is not too short. If when you're pulling it up, if you're finding there isn't actually any rope spare when you're pulling the Spinnaker up, then your Spinnaker halyard is too short. So you need to, that is actually a case of having to invest in a longer piece of rope. And when you're replacing a Spinnaker halyard, you might as well get it about 2 or 3 meters longer than you think how long it should be, because if you buy a new Spinnaker halyard and you find out it's a little bit too short, now that is disappointing. But I would check all of those things, and then when you're on the water, make sure for the hoists and drops you have got the wind coming from behind you, because that again is going to really help to reduce the friction. Okay, scrolling back. Okay, no further questions please, because we're up to 47 minutes now. I'll just answer what is already there, and then we'll be back next week for some more. But I will answer all the questions that have come in already. Bradley says the stuff you stick on the side of the boat is called Pro Grip. There's a non-marine that is cheaper, but I can't remember. The stick-on stuff is rubbish, so use the compound adhesive. Yeah, the stuff from Hobie, Pro Grip is the stuff that they use a lot in monohulls, and it generally has a smooth finish, but it's quite a soft compound, so you really do get a lot of grip from that smooth finish. I think there's another stuff which is very popular called rail rug. I think that's what it's called, or rail. It's like basically like the diamond shapes in the I'll have to do some research, but like Bradley said, always use the stuff that needs contact adhesive to put on. The self-adhesive stuff is generally not as good, and the stickiness, you're really rolling the dice with what brand of glue it's come with. But with contact adhesive, it's generally very good. We did, for our boats here, we invested in some really high-end black 3M contact adhesive, because we did have this problem with the heat of the other glue melting. So and since we started using that, it's been brilliant. I can't remember the name of it, but it was juicy stuff. Okay, scrolling back. All right, Jose, is sailing with wing seats cheating? No, there's no cheating involved. With the wing seats, so these wing seats are basically, I've called them picnic benches in the past, where you've basically got a wing that comes up from here out to about here, and it means, and that runs along the same length as the trampoline, and those wing seats mean that if you don't want to trapeze, then you don't need to. But if you do want to trapeze, you can trapeze from the wing and oh my goodness, what a ride that is. But they are by no means cheating. Boats like the Hobie 17 are actually designed with those wings, because the sail area on the 17 is quite a lot. If you were to take the wings off and sail without them, you might find at times you're lacking a bit of leverage to pin it down. So a boat like a Hobie 17 is designed with the wings, so you really need them, but it's definitely not cheating. It's just a different way of sailing the boat. It could be especially if you've got let's say you've got some sort of back problems, knee problems, some parts of the body aren't operating as smoothly as they used to, then having the wings on the boat can make it a lot more comfortable, which means you can sail for a lot longer without having to come back in. And as I said, trapezing off those wings is quite a ride. All right, scrolling back. All right. Oh, hi, Frank. Good to have you on board. We've got Ash from the Wildwind Beach team on board. Yes, we have. I hope you do well, Ash. Ash is from Ipswich, England, and I did have a dream that Ipswich got attacked by Godzilla last night, so do watch yourselves in Ipswich. Death, hello. Hi. Have you ever sailed a 470? And what do you think of that boat? No, I never sailed a 470, but of course it is the Olympic class, and I think it's a very weight sensitive boat. You do need to be in the right weight category to sail that boat effectively, which is something along the lines of 75 kilos per player on the boat, but it depends on what level you're looking at sailing. We've got the modern equivalent of the 470 on the Wildwind Beach, which is the RS 500. It's more modern because it's got a self-draining cockpit. It's got an asymmetric spinnaker and an open transom. So whereas the 470 is, of course, a traditional boat, I would wager first sailed back in the mid 60s. Is that right? Sounds right to me. But great boat. See some great I follow some 470 stuff on Instagram, and there's always amazing pictures of 470s, so I'd say yes. Okay, Frank says, what do you recommend for restoring an aluminium mast? How can you clean it up and take off scuff marks and scratches to make it relatively new again? Yeah, the scratch marks, I don't know, but what you can do is you can give the mast quite a good clean up. I made some special cleaning solution. You're not going to believe this, out of vinegar and lemons, and then left the lemons in the vinegar to really bubble up over a couple of weeks, and that really cleaned the mast up nicely. But to actually get rid of those scratches on the mast, that I don't actually know if that is possible. I'll have to do some research into that. But that is a good question, because we've obviously seen the results of restoring the carbon mast. Lovely. But are the scratches just cosmetic, or is it looking like it's starting to wear through, which could cause bigger problems? Thanks for the question, though, Frank. And I'll do some research. Okay, Raka. How you record clearly at the boat? Record audio clearly on the boat. Okay, so what I was doing back from it was the 7 ways to capsize video. That's when my previous methods changed because it killed one of the cameras. But I basically just had the GoPro on the head. That was a GoPro Hero 7, which I'd say out of all of the ones I've had, it is very close to being the best one. I liked it a lot, and that did a pretty good job with the audio, with the wind noise, with it just on my head. I used to put it in a silicone rubber kind of sleeve, which might have blocked a bit more of the wind noise. And for the talking, I got told off on one of my videos in the comments that said stop shouting, but I started talking quite loudly to make sure that what I was saying could be heard over any wind noise that was there. But more recently, I have got hold of this with the help of everyone on Patreon. This is called an Instamic, which actually records onto itself, as well as, sorry about that, as well as being a Bluetooth microphone. It actually records onto itself, so it's, you don't have to pair it or anything. And then I record, so now the more recent videos, I record the audio on the Instamic and then the video on the GoPros, and it comes out really nicely. But I just put the Instamic under my top so that it doesn't get the wind noise. There you go. That is a big answer. All right, Bradley asks, do you recommend toe loops on a cat? Yeah, on the so we don't use toe loops. We don't use toe loops on our 16s or the 14s. Reason is they are at the back of the boat where you'd want the toe loop. That would be the best place for a toe loop. Is when that's on the leeward side, this bit of the boat is getting into the water a bit at times, and that toe loop might start dragging a bit. So that's probably the main reason we don't put them on the 16s. But we do put them on the Hobie Tigers and the F18s, because when you're sailing downwind, kite up, crew on the trapeze, the crew really wants to be feeling secure. So we have one toe loop at the back of the hulls on the F18s, so that the crew has got that amazing level of security at the back of the boat. That is the only toe looping that we do. But I know in other classes, like in the Dart 18 class, you're actually not class legal unless you've got 3 toe loops on each side of the boat. So it does vary from class to class. All right, scrolling back, we're just wrapping this up now. No more questions, please. 19 Midnight Sun 87. Just passing by to wish you a healthy, happy new year. And to you and to everybody else, happy new year to everybody. Do tune in tomorrow night, or whatever time of day it will be. But that's 10 o'clock UK time, Wildwind Facebook page. If you want to see me, probably with a wig on and a silly hat. Take care of yourself, hopefully. Yes, do pop over and say hello. It'd be nice to meet some of you guys. Although I've obviously met some of you guys before, but always nice. Raka is in Indonesia. What? That is pretty cool. We're hitting the 4 corners. Def is in Croatia. Nice. Guilami, I believe. What do you think of this year's America's Cup boats? They are ridiculous. We talked about this a little bit last week, but available at totaljoyrider.com. Yeah, these America's Cup boats are just absolutely phenomenal pieces of engineering. How they can deal with all this loading on the foils especially, it's like mind-boggling to think how strong those things are. What a big, I bet there is out there somewhere on YouTube something about the construction of the foils on the America's Cup boats, because those boats on a race course are doing in excess of 40 knots. My goodness, in like 15 knots of wind. Yeah, I'm quite like them. All right, where do I find that speed GPS? Oh, it depends on the context that you're asking there, Boyd. If you're like after a GPS watch, there is a lot of choice now. The only ones that I ever recommend are the ones that I use, because those are the only ones that I know, and that is the Garmin. No, it's not Garmin. The Timex Global Trainer GPS, which is discontinued, but you can still find them on eBay. And that I've had 2 of those, and they've been absolutely brilliant. And then I've got the Locosys GW60, which is the official speed watch of the GPS Windsurfing Association. And that one was really good, but it's just demanded a software update, which you can only do on a PC, and I use a Mac, which makes that software update almost impossible until I find someone with a PC who could do that. But those are the 2 that I use. But also on all of the GoPro cameras since the 5, there is an inbuilt GPS, so you can put the dials on your video, like your speedo in the corner, like down there, speedo, and speed tracker down there, maybe stuff like that. Very nice too. The other good way of having a GPS out on the water is invest in a good dry bag for your telephone. Run an app like Strava on your telephone, take that out with you, and that will give you some interesting stats from your journey. Great stuff. And by the way, the new speed stick is starting the day after tomorrow. That is exciting. So if you're going out sailing, anybody sending in results now is going to go on the new speed stick, unless, I'd say the only reason for getting on the old speed stick will be if you go out sailing and you go faster than 26 knots. If you do that, it's worth getting on the old one. Otherwise, you should just get on the new one. There we are. All right, scrolling back. I think we're just finishing off now. Yep. All right, nice one. Yeah, Max said he thinks maybe his chute wasn't stretched out enough. Also, make sure if you have got a soft chute, that gets washed down as well, because if that gets salty, that could cause more friction. But sometimes with this difficult to pull up and down Spinnaker, it might be because where the patches in the Spinnaker pull together, got 3 patches, that can cause a big lump which gets stuck in the Spinnaker, and it is difficult to overcome that. But I'll do some investigation into that as well. All right, Steve-O says all this America's Cup stuff is top secret, so the other teams don't get the details, but the details will be released in March. Okay, so thanks very much everyone for tuning in. It's been a great pleasure once again, and I'll be back next Wednesday with some more of this from probably right here, unless it's raining. Okay, Frank has got some red hot info. Frank's been having some trouble with his GoPro 8 Black and the telemetry from the app, but he's recently come across a free app called Race Render, which has been doing that for him. In fact, I'm going to download that straight away because that sounds good. Yeah, so I think the how did I overcome that problem? I think the last couple that I did, I actually put the footage through the app on the phone and then into the computer. But thanks for that. So thanks everybody for tuning in. See you next week with some more. Hope you all have a great new year. And again, if you're not up to anything tomorrow evening, tune in tomorrow evening, or it might be midday, or it might even be in the morning, depending on where you are. But I will definitely have a wig on. Thanks, Hugo. Happy New Year to you as well. All right. Cheerio for now. Oh my goodness. Oh, I couldn't see it.